Let's cook and taste Japan with SavvySensei right out of your own home.
Hello, I'm Satoshi Mori. I'll explain how to make Sapporo Miso Ramen. Hope you'll enjoy it. I'll show you the kitchen tools. First, a big pan that holds 15 litres or 4 gallons of water, a strainer and a receiving bowl. Next, these are the ingredients. First, kizuri bushi, or shaved dried fish. The ratio is 400 grams or 14 ounces of bonito, 400 grams, 14 ounces of mackerel, and 200 grams, 7 ounces of sardine. 1 kilogram or 2 pounds is prepared for a restaurant production. And seaweed, hidaka konbu, 300 grams or 10 ounces. There's 15 litres of water in the pot. The seaweed was soaked in it for 24 hours. First, we'll heat the water and the seaweed. Slowly you heat them and remove the seaweed right before boiling. While we are waiting, let me share a tip. In Japan, where I live, we have nansui, soft water. Here, these 3 bottles contain seaweed. The one on the left is soaked in soft water, and these 2 bottles contain hard water. Since yesterday, for 24 hours, I have soaked seaweed in these 2 for comparison. This has been soaked for 2 hours. To see how much difference they have, I'll show you and take a taste. First, a glass of soft water, soaked since yesterday. A glass of hard water, soaked for 24 hours. And the one soaked for 2 hours. The colours are not that different. I'll test the taste and aroma. As I thought, the soft water has the familiar good taste. The hard water has a little too much seaweed taste drawn into it. It has quite a bit of bad aftertaste that weighs down on your tongue. The one closer to the good taste is the hard water started soaking 2 hours ago. If you use hard water, start soaking seaweed 2 hours prior to heating, and that will work. While I was talking, it's beginning to boil. Let's turn it off. Take out the seaweed. Then put the shaved fish in there and simmer for 10 minutes. When you do that, Japanese use a cotton bag made of fabric called sarishi. Put the fish in there and cook. Then you don't have to strain it later. But if you do not have sarishi, use a strainer and a bowl like these. Straining will do. Tie the top loosely. After removing the seaweed, sink the bag in the water. We'll simmer it for 10 minutes. It's been 10 minutes. I will take out the fish that I had added. If it's in a bag, you can scoop it up like this. If you don't have the bag, you need to dump out the whole thing into a different container. If you have thin fabric, I bet you can make it a bag. Try it. Turn off the heat and let it drain. No need to squeeze. Just let it drip naturally. You want to save the last juice. Put it back into the pan. Let's check the condition by the colour. Like this, the golden colour. It's the typical colour of Japanese soup base. We've got good dashi. Next, I will explain how to make the main soup base from the animal ingredients. First, tools. The big pan with a 100-litre capacity. It contains 90 litres of water now. Here we'll add pork bones, chicken scraps and vegetables. The ratio is 10 grams or 22 pounds of pork bones, 5 kilograms, 11 pounds of chicken scraps, and vegetables can be various leftovers from making ramen, veggie skins, the tip of green onions or onion skin. Add those in your soup base. First, pork bones. You cannot get dashi from the bones as they are. Expose the marrow. Take a hammer and break this in half, then add to the soup. When you do it, if the bone is off the cutting board too much, the bone will slip away. The closer a bone is to the board, the better. It's a bit hard. Here we go. Chicken scraps will go in as they are. There. And add the remaining vegetables. This is the main soup that I added animal ingredients. As you see, scum is foaming. Scoop it out carefully. Scoop around the edge. Since the scum is coming up from the centre, run a ladle along the edge of the pan. That makes it easier to take the scum out. Chew the scum a little. Since I gave a quick rinse to the meat before cooking, I don't expect that much scum. Get rid of the floating dark scum. And the yellow oil is coming from the chicken. Don't remove too much of it. Now turn the heat high. Replace the lid and wait for 4 hours until it boils down to 2/3 on a high heat. After simmering for 4 hours and strained, this is the soup. A little creamy, cloudy soup. Now, how to make the lard oil. There are the tools: the cutting board, a knife, a wok and a ladle. Now let me tell you about the ingredients. This is fat on the pork back. I will cut the back fat into small pieces and fry them slowly. Cut them into dice, the smaller the better. Like this, cut them up. Now they are cut small. I'm making lard oil. First, heat the wok so the fat won't stick to the pan. Why do I make lard oil myself? There are salad oil and different kinds of oils in the market. It's smoking a little, so turn down the heat and slowly add the back fat. Now take your time. When the heat is high, the surface is burnt, which makes it harder for the oil to come out. Slowly let the oil contained in this back fat ooze out little by little into the wok. Back to the previous talk, there are lard, salad oil, etc. sold in our stores. They contain coagulant and other chemicals to make it firm. To me, the flavour is very different. I mean, when you actually cut a pig and get fat from back ribs, thighs and the back. Today, this is from the back. As you slowly cook those fats without adding anything, there's no odour associated with lard. When I make fried rice or fried vegetables to add to ramen, it's light. Even though I made oil from lard, it's not dense. When I make it slowly and use it, the richness of oil is completely different. It's really deep. It's so different that I make this myself. The back fat that I started frying slowly is now completely crisp like fried potatoes. When they touch the ladle, you can feel they are crisp. When they are cooked down, bubbles hardly come out from them. I think this is done. Now I will strain this with a sieve. Turn off the heat. Since a third remains as burnt fat, the amount of oil seems to be about 2/3. It's turned into clear oil like this. As I was talking earlier, this is one that was strained and cooled down. Here it is. While I was talking about the reason, I also mentioned the firmness. Even when it's cooled down, it stays fluid like this. This is the lard without any impurity that was extracted from pork fat. I recommend trying it. Okay, let's actually make miso ramen. But before that, let me explain the tools. First, the most important frying pan, the wok, and a ladle. Actually, there are big, medium and small ladles. I and those who cook Chinese food or ramen use the medium ladle in general. The size is 250cc or 8.5 ounces. When I was being trained, I was taught to use a small one, so I use a 150cc small ladle. And a whisk to stir miso. And a disher to scoop miso. This disher is 50cc or 1.8 ounces. This is for serving, unique to Japan, moribashi serving chopsticks. They are often used in Japanese restaurants. They are made of metal and you can stick them into food. Very convenient but a little heavy. Then a petty knife to cut flavoured eggs. Also a big pan and a sieve to heat up noodles. And the dish. A big ramen bowl. A ceramic spoon. When you eat, these are important. They are disposable chopsticks. In our restaurant we use bamboo chopsticks because they don't get splinters easily. When there is a splinter, it may stab the hand, making it difficult to eat. And a soup spoon with holes. It's rarely seen even in Japan. Actually, some customers in our restaurant ask us what it is. In our restaurant, we brown ground meat and add it to ramen. So you use this spoon to scoop the meat left at the bottom of the bowl, or veggies that are hard to pick up with chopsticks. Or it's for those who don't want to drink the soup, but prefer to eat just the food in it. They can use this spoon with holes to pick out the food. And here's something unfamiliar to you. It's called okamochi, not used very often in Japan these days. You may be more familiar with Uber Eats. It's a delivery tool. Earlier in Japan, they held this with one hand and rode on a bike, or set up a rack on the bike to put this carrier on, to deliver ramen, fried rice, etc. to each home. Now, these are the ingredients. First, the vegetables. Bean sprouts, quickly rinsed and drained in a strainer. 150 grams or 5 ounces of them. And onions, cut into wedges. There is 50 grams or 1.8 ounces. And carrots, cut into thin strips, 10 grams, 0.4 ounces. Then, we stir fry these with ground meat that's 50 grams, 1.8 ounces. Also, minced garlic, 10 grams, 0.4 ounces. Minced ginger, 5 grams, 0.2 ounces. And the toppings, Chashu, Chinese barbecue pork, menma, seasoned bamboo shoots, and achitama, flavoured eggs. This is the final topping, leeks put in cold water for crisp texture. These are Chinese noodles. This is Sapporo Ramen. Medium thickness, wrinkled. These are about 140 to 150 grams, 4.9 to 5 ounces. And miso. I mix different flavours of miso. A dish full, 50 cc, 1.8 ounces of it. And the homemade lard. Okay, let's make it. The wok is being heated. Make it hot until you see a bit of smoke. Turn it down to medium heat. Begin with stir-frying vegetables. A little less than a ladleful of homemade lard goes into the wok. Add the vegetables that I explained earlier. Turn up the heat a little. When you add them, the temperature goes down a little. When the whole thing is roughly coated with oil, add the ground meat, garlic and ginger. No need to hurry at all, take your time. With my wok, I often tell you to go slowly, because with the oil and the water from the vegetables, the slow frying will emulsify them. The oil and the water are emulsified to make the thickener. When it gets hotter, the oil and water blend together. It has turned milky white. Now add the main soup we made and the sub-soup. 350 cc 12 ounces the main soup and 70 cc 2.5 ounces of the sub-Japanese soup. They are already blended. Here we go. Warm up the noodles for 2 minutes. Stir a little so they won't stick to each other. In a bowl, put miso, the stuff mixed earlier, 50 grams, 1.8 ounces of it with a disher. Now turn up the heat so the whole thing will bubble up. Hardly any scum comes up since I scooped it out earlier when the soup was boiled down. There may be a little scum from the fried ground meat. Just a little. If you don't like it, remove it. After boiling for about a minute and a half, add a little soup and stir the miso. Then pour 80% of the soup into it. The noodles are ready. People often move the sieve up and down, but I quietly wait. At the very end, I shake off the last drops that are stuck on the sieve. Just with this motion, the water on the noodles is separated. Put them in there. Loosen the noodles, lift them up slowly and fold them in half. The rest of the soup mixed with the vegetables is added. The last step is garnishing. First, create a peak with leeks. Then, prepared Chashu, Chinese barbecue pork, 1 piece. Our restaurant adds menma, seasoned bamboo shoots. Add a half of ajitama, or flavoured egg.